so long as like alchemy.
CJ McCollum drives the three. That's good. Seth Curry knocks it down. Oh, Damian Lillard finding the range. It's a 17-point Portland lead.
The Warriors been here too many times. They know how to weather the storm.
When you're playing 100-plus playoff games, you've been there before.
You've seen everything.
They trust each other. That's what it takes in the playoffs.
We know what's at stake. We know what the mission is.
Another one. Then they bring the storm.
Just us, 1, 2, 3. Just us. Curry fires and hits. Curry to Thompson for three. Got it. Draymond Green throws it up. Kevon Looney throws it down.
The Blazers are learning some lessons. When you got them down, you got to keep them down.
Stolen by Iguodala. It's over.
They stole it, but they earned it down the stretch.
Their job was to take care of their home floor, and we got an opportunity to do the same thing.
It's the Western Conference Finals, Game 3.
All right, y'all. Game 3, Moda Center, Portland, Oregon, Saturday night. Both coaches making changes to the starting lineup. It was Meyers Leonard, everybody's favorite, starting for Portland after his breakout game in Game 2. And then Steve Kerr, you know he can't help himself. He counters with one Damian Jones into the starting lineup. And on paper, it makes sense. They're two very athletic 7-footers, but they have problems for different reasons. Damian is kind of slow processing and not aggressive enough, where Meyers Leonard is a little overzealous and at times over-aggressive as you see him pick up his first foul quickly. Then on the next possession, Damian picks up his first foul, and you just got to keep your feet moving. You can't really plant when you're out above the arc against these guards. They're just going to slam into the leg and draw the foul. Damian picks up an early one, and this is what the Blazer fans have been waiting for. Frankly, I have too. You expect at some point in this series, Damian Lillard's going to go nuts, right? And he hits his first three, which would be a good sign for Portland. One thing Damian does tend to do well is contest jump shooters on the perimeter. He uses his length, he gaps pretty well, but if you recall at the beginning of the year when he was starting, I kept on complaining about how slowly he gets off the ground and how he loads up for every jump. And you see here, Harkless gets up about 3 times before Damian jumps a second time, and he picks up a quick second foul. There's the outlet and seal early turnover for the Warriors. It wasn't as big of a problem as we saw in Game 2. But as expected, it was Portland kind of the hungrier team to start things, the more desperate team. Iguodala hands in the passing lane. Clay just stops and pops and cuts this thing to 2. Now, here's my theory on the Damian Jones start. Yes, probably a little bit to match Meyers Leonard, and I do want to give him a bit of a break. He hasn't played basketball in a long time, so you see him get caught in the air here for the 3rd foul. I think it's in preparation for the Bucks. I think Kerr wants to get him comfortable in the playoffs because he knows he's probably going to have to use him a bit in this Bucks series where they always have 2, 3, 7-footers out there at a time. Iguodala's just been ice cold from behind the arc in this series. But you saw Damian get pulled after the quick 3 fouls. Meyers stayed in the game and contributed. The reload top of the key 3 really gave this crowd in Portland life. And then you see him here. This is a bad call. This is a clean block. But you know what I love about him is he's like a 7-year-old who over-celebrates everything he does, and it's infectious. Here he is on the other end, and he's the prototype. Like, if you look at his physical profile, you'd expect him to have this type of impact, and for whatever reason, he's been buried. There he is contesting Steph at the rim and just being a rim protector on that. And Clay, the sneaky, sneaky boy, after kind of weathering the early storm here in Portland, you see head knock, and we haven't used it nearly as much as when we had Durant in there because Durant, if it breaks, then he can just turn and shoot that mid-range pulley. It's much more of a Durant set. You see Clay using his size early on against this small backcourt, both on the glass and then just rising and splashing. Out in transition, I don't know if this is signs of Iguodala's leg issue or what. I get it. Leonard's a big boy, but I would have loved to seen him draw contact there. He kicks it out. Now, this is more of where Leonard struggles. He's not a thinker out there. He's got to show. Steph Curry's coming off a screen. You've got to help protect your guard here. He doesn't show, and Steph just splashes the 3. Take another look at it. This is a great angle of it. So for all of his physical attributes and enthusiasm, he's not the highest of IQ players, and that's perhaps why he's been buried on the bench. Now, I said the turnovers were not as bad. There were still turnovers, 13 of them. A lot of them coming in a high aggressive trap. Portland using their size. Harkless, Leonard, get out and run. Here's just an ISO play where we just wouldn't see this with Durant in the game, right? Like Steph doesn't make that play with Durant in the game, and it is what it is. Take it for what it's worth, but it's just kind of refreshing to see Steph go to work ISO at times. It was a foul fest early on, and much in favor of Portland as they were in danger going down 3-0. Watch Dame. I'm not sure if he was just getting laid out or he was trying to flop. It was just kind of uncharacteristic how many times I saw Dame hit the floor and kind of look around and complain. I don't know if that's what he's resorting to here, and I like that seal from Draymond. That's a nice little dive cut from Sean. And then quarter winding down, here comes the double team from quite a ways away. Dame can easily see it coming, but he tries to spin away from it and just ends up turning the ball over rather than making the proper basketball play. Second quarter, and this is the second or third time I've seen Bell hit this little soft floater. If that's going to be in his bag, that's going to be super useful for where he catches the ball on the floor, and then out of nowhere, it's a white-on-white crime. Jerebko hammers Collins, and Collins, I thought for sure that was going to get chippy. Collins wanted no smoke with Jerebko, and it ended up being a flagrant one because he did kind of make a play on the ball, but I've talked about needing some physicality and some goonery in these playoffs, and that's exactly what Repko brings to the table. And what it does is it just makes you think when he's around. You see Hood with the steal. He's already got a bad knee. You see Repko running down the court alongside him. He's the type that makes you think and kind of maybe be a little more passive when you're driving to the cup. Cantor came in and gave him big minutes. His size on Bell was very noticeable. And then Cook and Seth have a unique bond, both having to sit at the kids' table until adulthood during Thanksgiving. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, second quarter, I thought it was the second unit for Portland. Much like we've seen throughout this series, the second quarter was dominated by Portland, and it was this new second unit with Cantor in there and Collins, 2 7-footers essentially, just banging the glass and just playing with more energy. And then Clay flashed back to his summer of puberty because he was just jacking everywhere. He was jacking shots everywhere. My God, that's just grotesque, Alk. Back the other way, and it's Evan Turner hitting his first three since 1984 in the corner. Portland had to feel good about that. Clay ended up with a nice game. He wasn't too inefficient. It was just this second unit in the second quarter here where I think he feels a lot of pressure to get up shots, and he was inefficient in this one. More of these two on the glass as they gained separation. Bogut, a short stint of minutes, looked awful, looked slow, and just wasn't ready to play on this night. But Kerr, being Kerr, let that second unit ride all the way to the 6-minute mark with a double-digit lead. In comes Draymond and Steph, and they immediately start to chip away. I was interested to see if Portland has any other counters to what we're doing. Here's a little screen action, and Harkless switched on Curry. I think Harkless is fully switchable on our guards. I think he's their best bet switching, but they didn't do much of it. Seth can't hit the transition 3 ball. More Myers Leonard, 10 points in the half, and I knew he could stretch the floor and play above the rim. I didn't know he had a little jump hook. He showed the jump hook a couple times, but then on the other end, it was Draymond just not letting him breathe, immediately slicing downhill. They're just not ready for it. Teams know who Draymond is. They're not used to him looking for his this aggressively. Looney, the contest, and then look at him push the ball. He looks like Westbrook pushing the ball. Iguodala, watch him go up here 2 feet, and then he comes down a little gingerly. Little gingerly, right? He's kind of, I don't know, he doesn't look too enthusiastic. But you can see Portland still kind of keeping us at arm's length. Another turnover. That's just a tough pass to make in the paint. So congested. Dame makes the right play, and it's Leonard skying to the rim for the and one dunk and pushing this thing to a 14-point lead. Watch this turnover here by Steph. And look, Steph had a great game. He was fine. His effort was there, the shooting was there, but he just wasn't all the way dialed in this game. And there's a part of me that makes me think that it's almost like he's taking pity on Seth. I don't know what to think, but there was a part of Steph that just wasn't dialed in this game. Harkless, they're not even thinking about Draymond looking to score. You see Harkless completely looking for the pass. Draymond cruises all the way left. They get the stop, and we get the push out and transition. Now, I want you to watch Steph here. After he made that boneheaded turnover, he's still upset with himself. He knows it himself. I'm sure he would say he wasn't dialed in through most of this game. I'm going to talk a little more about CJ here later on, but watch Looney gets ISO'd on the switch here. And look, he makes this shot, but if you've watched enough CJ, that's a little deeper than he wants to take his shots. We're doing a great job of just keeping them off their spots. There's the fake dribble handoff. This time it's Looney taking advantage. Going into this wasn't a surprise, and I felt like this game could get away from us because they were out hustling us and they were getting contributions from guys that were unexpected, but this dude just wouldn't let it happen. Day coast to coast to cut this thing to 13 at the half. Now, both of these guys have struggled in this series, but at what point does Portland put the ball in CJ's hands? Dame, now they're saying he has a separated rib. He's not right clearly. So why isn't the ball in CJ's hands more? That's my question as the series gets out of hand. And CJ picked up a quick 2 fouls here as the whistles continued to start this second half. But my eyes just tell me they have a better shot of having better offense with the ball in CJ's hands at this point. Now you got Draymond out here looking like Magic Johnson, serving it up on a silver platter for Bell under the cup. And then you're going to see Meyers Leonard pick up a series of fouls, this one a bad one, sending Steph to the line for a 4-point play. And look, he'll never not have foul trouble. It's just who he is. He just plays aggressive and enthusiastic, and it goes hand in hand with what he is. And Dame splitting the floater, he knocks it down, but again, it's not really what he wants. That's not really in his bag, the floater game. Didn't love this closeout from Bell. You want to make Leonard put the ball on the floor, run him off the line. He extends it to 14, and then Draymond happened. And don't get me wrong, his presence was there from the start, but this third quarter, as I watched it unfold, it was kind of like, all right, Draymond's willing us, like who else is going to step up and help him? And then it was just like, no, he's really just winning the game for us with just sheer will, energy, and aggression. Another rebound pushing. This time he's going to get it back as he steps and establishes himself back in bounds before he floats it in. The pace that he is pressing on Portland, they're already a wary team. He's breaking their well, and then it's Bell with the baby hands. Can't get the one-handed finish. If you take another look, though, it wasn't a hand problem. I think he just relaxed his body too much in the air, and then he spiked it off the back. So you thought Draymond was going to scold him, and you thought Kerr was going to immediately pull him, but instead they encouraged Bell and left him in the game knowing we need this dude. Draymond doing everything, leading, dominating, scoring, assisting, rebound, even chopping it up with Meyers Leonard. I told you everybody loves Meyers Leonard, even Draymond. When do you see Draymond laughing with the opponent in the playoffs? Just to give you a little insight. And then Clay, whenever he's struggling, the shot that takes the lid off the basket is always like an extremely difficult one. The leaning one-footer, now he goes to the other corner and drops another. I know the rumors of Boogie returning anytime now is swirling, but looking ahead to this Bucks series, we may need Bell more. His versatility, look at him switched out on Dame, contesting, his ability to run the floor, his versatility and aggression, and then this time he makes sure of it with 2 hands. Loved seeing him stay in the game and having an immediate redemption moment, but more importantly, think about him in Milwaukee's bigs. He's going to be comfortable out on the 3-point line guarding all those threes that they jack up. More Steph, just kind of not dialed in here, gets hit with the travel as Seth is so quick to let them know. And I think there's a lot of things going on. I think that things are coming a little easy for him. I think he's playing his brother, right? And I think there's not a healthy amount of fear against this Portland team at this point. Can't get the 3, the offensive rebound, the scoop, and McKinney gave us huge minutes. 9 rebounds to go with a couple timely baskets. More defense, more stops. And look, if Portland had like a life meter, if this was a video game and Portland had a life bar at the top of the screen, you could just see the bar sapping as Draymond continued to push the ball down their throats.
And a first lead of the game for the Golden State Warriors.
Looney's screen setting has got better and better as he sets one here for Steph, who knocks one down with under a minute to go. And then on the other end, you know, Damian has the superior size, but Bell gets up in the air so much quicker to contest shots at the rim as he does so there, ending the third. Here we go, fourth quarter, and Steve Kerr has the nuts to bring out the full second unit. Because he does, because that's what he does. You see Zach Collins hit his first 3 and only one of the game. Clay, the quick answer as the shot clock goes off. And then I had to highlight this play because you remember when I lost my mind about Quinn Cook not hard fouling in that Clippers series? Look, that wasn't even a hard foul. It wasn't. Look at him help CJ up. But he made sure it wasn't going to be an and one, so I just like to see growth from young players. Then Collins wants to switch out on a 6-foot guard, which was admirable but mistaken because Quinn cooks him all the way to the cup, finishes with the 7-footer coming over. Let's take a look at this for the real hoop heads here, because what you're going to see is the step back movement and he puts it to his shot pocket. That's what sells the hezzy, and then he flips it over without carrying the ball and spins it off glass. Here's the crazy thing in hindsight of this fourth quarter. We started the fourth with a 3-point lead, and it was the second unit that pushed the lead to 8. Jerebko, this is a tough shot, but he's proven time and time again that he's comfortable with the little one step in and pulley as he knocks that down. And you can see it's an 8-point lead with this second unit. Meanwhile, Dame and CJ started the fourth quarter. And looking at the box score, CJ took 20 shots to Dame's 18, but he just didn't have the ball in his hands nearly as much as Dame. And maybe ultimately what this series is going to do is finally break up this backcourt because, yeah, they're good, but are they contenders? And are they content just being good, or do they want to ultimately be contenders? Another storyline has been the free throw shooting, and perhaps points to the fatigue of this team. 20 of 33 from the line for 60%. And then I thought they also kind of prematurely started to jack three balls as they felt like this thing was slipping away. It's only a 5-point game here, but they jacked up some threes here with still a half a quarter to go. And then Steph was like, all right, this is just easy. Let me just take this over and finish this off. Coasts all the way left, no help. Now, at this point, everybody was starting to notice the absence of Andre Iguodala. Like, yo, McKinney shouldn't be in here at this point. But what he did do was arc a high three ball in the corner that kind of felt like the dagger and put the Warriors up 10. And then Steph getting his Deontay Wilder on with the light work knockout punch. 6-3 of the night, 36 points. And like I said, it was kind of a relatively easy performance, I felt, for Steph as they went to the high pick and roll. This time he stops, lets the 7-footer fly by, and finishes. Too easy. Or maybe he just makes it seem that way. And this is what I was kind of alluding to as far as Portland just looking to get it back all in one shot. And Dame hits this three, but that's a tough shot. Like, you really want him taking that shot. You see there's 4 minutes left as he hits that. They finally get a stop on this end as Steph is just checking the range in a low-key heat check. And you're going to see them push the ball right back up and jack another three up. And you could sense it with the crowd. You could sense it in their body language that their spirit was being broken. You know what's the famous Bane line? Ah, yes. I wonder what would break first, your spirit or your body. And then Clay, understanding this, kind of wanted to send a message like, no, it's over. There's no hope. We are crushing your spirit. And that was probably my favorite play of the game. Take a look at Clay's face at the end of this block. We're having none of it. And just for good measure, he does it again. And they called a foul, but it was a clean block. So Clay sending a message psychologically at the end of this game, like, no, we're not taking our foot off the pedal. We're going to crush your spirits and we're going to sweep you. And I've already said this several times in these playoffs, but I have to say it again. And maybe Draymond's most impressive performance of his playoff life. Like, that was a ridiculous performance where he didn't just ignite us, he led the team. Like, he was the MVP, he carried the game. Now, Steph, I don't want to not acknowledge his 36 points. He's the greatest shooter in the world, but none of this happens without Draymond. And Portland, you can just read the body language. It looks like a broken team. It looks like we have broken their spirit. Now, they'll catch a third, fourth win, whatever you want to call it, and they're going to come out on fire in this game 4 on Monday. But if we can weather that storm and hang around until the second quarter or second half, it's going to be a sweep. Now, the biggest story out of this game is Andre Iguodala, the MRI as we speak on the Achilles/calf. All I can tell you is I heard he was in good spirits and he didn't act as if someone like that was not going to be playing, right? The word around the team was like, it's precautionary. I think they're trying to get ahead of what could be an injury. I'm out, Joe.
So long as like alchemy.